He's living on the air in Cincinnati, Cincinnati. Even though I can't sing, Gary, I knew.
No comment.
Gary, Sandy from WKRP in Cincinnati. How long have you been on the air now? 3 or 4 years?
3 years now. This will be a 4th year. We've done 68 shows. That's pretty good.
That is very
I told
good.
you so. Now, I told you the first season. You told me I told you.
I told you, but see, you had never done this before, and I was one of the first people to meet you at one of these things, and I said...
And I never forgot you, you know.
Where's the payoff? Where is the payoff?
I'm supposed to give you some money?
You're a true star making big money now, and I made the prediction. Isn't that worth something?
Yes, we'll talk, we'll talk.
We'll talk. Well, you know what? Money is an indication of success. It's a frame of measuring success.
Yeah.
But also being able to take that money and do something special for your parents. He just bought a 160-acre farm in Kentucky for your parents.
All right. You got all the inside info.
I got all the inside info. What a nice
I'm very
thing
pleased.
to
I'm very
do.
proud. Well, see, about a year and a half ago, I drove down into Kentucky. I don't tell exactly where it is, but just to reminisce, past my great-grandfather's farm. It was out of the family for 35 years, and we used to pass there, and Dad say, "There's the big house, you know, where they used to live," and there was a for sale sign on it. And I said, "Wait a minute." So I checked into it, and I got a hold of it. It was out of the family, like I said, for 35 years. And now Dad's got this big tinker toy down there. I mean, they're living on this thing. He's spending all my money down there, I want to tell you. But we're fixing up, we're renovating as we speak. The farmhouse is being renovated. It's a 10-room, 2-story farmhouse, and we made money last year on it. Cattle, tobacco, and corn.
Your dad's taking care of all that?
Oh, sure. Well, see, he grew up right there, so now it must be a huge thrill. I mean, when you stop and think that as a small kid, now he's back there, and it's kind of our place, and I think that his trip is that when he's gone, he would like to have given me this renovation of this land. I'm telling you, it's going to be an estate. You know, I mean, I'm not bragging or anything, but it's just fantastic. It's just beautiful.
But isn't it nice that you could do that for your family?
Well, I combined two things with one. I wanted to get a little house for myself. I wanted to get a farm. I've always wanted to have a farm, and I wanted to get a place for my parents. So my parents are living on my farm, so it's the same deal. So it's a combination.
And then it'll come back to you anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a very smart boy. You're learning a lot of things. You know who he was named after? Gary Cooper.
That's fact.
Is that your middle? That's not your middle name. They didn't call you Gary Cooper, Sandy.
No, my middle name is Lee. So
Gary Lee, Sandy.
Gary Lee. Gary Lee, you get in here.
They ran the whole 9 yards when they did it. Did you ever see Gary Cooper in any of the films?
Oh, sure. I've watched all of them. But I didn't know until just a couple of years ago that Dad said, you know, hey, who we named you after was Gary Cooper. See, because all of his life, I think maybe he was frustrated. See, he was frustrated Clark Gable or something in the back of his mind.
Is he handsome like that?
I'll tell you, there's pictures when he was young, with the mustache and everything. But he always said he never went to the movies. I don't like those films and stuff. So he never owned up to the fact that he might have named me after a movie star. See, that would have blown the thing there.
Well, Gary used to be a villain. You saw him on the soap operas as a villain, and then as a psychotic killer in Starsky and Hutch. And then in All That Glitters, a very short-lived Norman Lear, they said that you had the cutest buns in the corporation. Is that true, Gary?
What kind of question is that? I don't know.
Hey, that's what they said.
If I go crazy, I never get out of here.
That crazy show, it didn't make it, but...
Well, no, wait a minute. Now, Norman Lear happens to think that that's one of the best... in print, he said that. One of the best things he's ever done. That's overall in the family and everything. It was on for 13 weeks, but it was 5 times a week, so we did 65 shows. We did as many shows as we've done at KRP. And I think that someday in syndication, you'll see that show again. Because it's a nice little package. It's like 65 shows, boom. Yeah. It was changing of the sex roles. It was like women's... God in her infinite wisdom created Eve, and Adam came from her rib. And my dad hated that one.
I know.
Couldn't understand that show. Yeah.
But your mama likes what you're doing now, doesn't she?
Well, I called him up when I got this, the part of Andy Travis, and I said, Dad, Mom, I said, you're going to like this one. This guy is all-American boy and everything. And it's, I'm very pleased with the character and certainly with the show. I mean, but we knew that. I mean, I really, honest to God, knew that it was going to be a success.
And the casting has to, the person who did the casting has to be complimented because...
Oh, Hugh Wilson.
Well, I understand that Frank Bonner was actually not going to be cast originally as the salesperson, that...
Howard
Hessman. I was trying
Dr.
to
Johnny was up for, yeah, right.
Dr. Johnny Fever was going to be the salesperson.
And he, as you know, actors tend to do, you don't like to play the same kind of characters, and he had played that kind of character before, and he said, no, I don't want to do that. But see, Howard's smart. I mean, he is, because, I mean, if it was apparent when you read the pilot script for KRP that the hot role, truly, was this Johnny Fever role. And I said to myself, now that's a great role. I mean, my God, that's a great role. And Howard knew that, so he sort of came in and said, I don't want to read for Herb Tarlink, I'd like to read for this. And so he read, and Lord knows that he's done a pretty good job with that role.
And you know, Lonnie Anderson is really quite smart, because she's gotten bigger than the show. You know, she's really a superstar. But she could leave, because there's so many other things she could do. However,
I don't know what
I think about, in terms of Farrah Fawcett leaving, she's smart by staying on the series for that constant exposure, which is critical.
Sure.
Which is critical.
Well, with all actors and actresses, I think that obviously one of the tough things, we all would like to be movie stars or whatever. One of the funniest comments I ever heard, no, I shouldn't tell this now.
Tell me.
The funniest critique I ever heard of KRP was a little couple of liner from someone who obviously maybe didn't go crazy about the show. Said, WKRP is a television show about a radio station where everybody wants to become movie stars. But nevertheless, everybody, you know, actors and actors like to bridge that gap, and I think that various and sundry people, Lonnie being one of them, will be able to bridge that gap between television and feature films. I think she'll be able to do that.
Well, you got a little gem there, a real little gem. You know it. Continued success, Gary Sandy. Give our love to Gordon Jump in particular, because you know, he's from our
nicest man in the world.
Marvelous cast.
I will. I'll say hello to everybody.
Okay. Gary Sandy, of course, he plays Andy Travis here on 1011 Strong and WKRP in Cincinnati. We'll be right back in the show right after this word.